at that point too, I realized like when the creator created our universe, because there's many universes, it came to create. It kind of created like two energies, the light and darkness. But it was just the yin and the yang, right? And then it just kind of like it decided, because maybe before that it was just light. There was like no darkness and no, but it kind of got bored after a little while. So I was like, you know what?
Let me start, and then we'll go into the breathing. Okay. So hi, Soul Family, and welcome to Haji Hill's YouTube channel. I'm your host, Haji, and this is Amazing NDE Stories. Our guest today is Rafael Garcia, the one and only. Rafael, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. It's really a pleasure. I'm really
Okay.
happy that you're sharing a lot of the messages. So congratulations.
Okay. Okay. So we had a few things that almost stopped us up, and it made me think, when that happens, I know that it's either something that should not be or really should be. And my energy and my whole intuition is saying that there's something you're going to say that is amazing and that people need to hear. So we got past all those little hoops and we're here now. Okay. So you ready? Ready, ready, ready?
Yes, of course.
Let's jump right into it and tell us about your amazing near-death experience.
Yes, of course. It's my pleasure to share with your audience. And yeah, I mean, I'll try to summarize it in a very simple way because I can talk for hours about this topic. But yeah, for sure. So, it's been such an incredible experience, so very transformative. And it basically I was uh I was able to go into the afterlife. Now, when I it was in I was in my room, and then all of a sudden I felt an energy. And then I for a minute I thought it was a spirit, but because I've seen spirits my whole life. But at that point I realized that it was just an energy above me. And then I saw the light that, all NDEC, we all see it, like, when you have an NDE. So once I saw the light, I understood it that it was actually a portal. So that's the way I came to understand, the when people see the light, it's really a portal to the fourth dimension. So, or to the afterlife. So as soon as I saw that portal, I automatically went into that portal. I didn't even question it. I just, because the love of the frequency is so beyond words, that it's all you want to do is like you fly, you want to just go into it. So I just came out of my body. I saw my body next to me, and then I just went into that light. I was merged with this overwhelming love. And then as soon as I stepped into that portal, into the light, I saw all my family members on the other side. They're all like waiting there greeting me, and they were like so happy and so just overwhelmingly, just blissful, and greeting me. And they all came and hugged me, and they all were really happy. And so we greeted for a little while, and then after that they said, okay, well, we'll see you later, and then they all kind of disappear. They kind of flew. And then they told me, you have to go to this chamber. I saw a chamber, and there was a door, and they told me, you need to go to that chamber. So I was like, okay. So then I saw the door, and then I walked into the chamber. And as soon as I walked into that chamber, I saw what you call the council of light, which are like this like ascended master beings. And and then um, and then that's where my life review started. And so I saw a life, they show you your life review like a movie. And in the life review, I was able to see when I show kindness to like someone, like an old lady crossing the street, that kind of like was shown to me. And then what I came to understand, that each one of those councils represented like a different lesson that we are here to master and learn. So again, it could, again, it's like the virtues that we're here to learn the lessons. So unconditional love, compassion, kindness, integrity, patience, honesty, humbleness, um, forgiveness, letting go, non-judgment, courage, and respect. I think those just like the fundamentals of being a good human being. And then I realized that all life experiences happen to teach us one of those lessons. And then, so then, then I saw like also like maybe like when I was able to to let go of a situation or whatever, to forgive somebody, maybe that being of light came, and then they're kind of like just lit up and say like, you did a great job. And then I was just really like really happy and overwhelming. But then later on I came to realize that there really are all the council lights. The council light is really just us. It's a fraction of us. That's what I came to realize. This was the realization that I came to realize later on. It was that each one of those councils, it's really you, or it's really that lesson. You see, a part of us that we're here to master. So once we're able to master the lessons or all these lessons, that's when we come one with our higher self. That's when we come an ascended master. And these are just the fundamental principles, pillars of becoming like your highest potential being. So I came to understand that each one of those lessons, that they're all or councils really are us, in that in the higher realm. So so anyway, so after that I was like, okay. And then at that point they showed me thousands of lifetimes that I came one with my higher self, and then I saw like thousands of lifetimes around me in a circle. And then I realized that they were all like in a sphere capsule, and then I saw like different screens in each one of those capsules, or and then I understood that there was a lifetime, but then I understood that all those dozens of lifetimes, they were all happening. All the lifetimes are happening at the same time. You see what I'm saying? So they're all happening at the same time, and then they're all happening and then they're all happening for learning purposes. And then so as I became my higher self, I was able to then go into some of those lifetimes. So the way I travel in those lifetimes, I saw one of those capsules, and then I just I went into one of those. I wanted to go into those lifetimes because I thought it was fascinating that, like, oh my God, we're multidimensional beings, living all these lifetimes which are happening right now. Like all those lifetimes are happening right now in a parallel universe, or in a one of those parallel lives. They're happening right now. They're just, I mean, all you got to do is start connecting more and more to your higher self, so that your higher self starts revealing those other lifetimes. So I was able to see some of those and I went to some of those lifetimes as well, and I was able to go into a couple. The first one I went into, I was as when I went into the capsule, I traveled in a wormhole from my higher self, kind of like astral projected. I astral projected into that capsule, and then once I went in there, I flew like a comet. So I'm flying in like a comet into Earth, and then I saw all of a sudden I'm coming into like Scandinavia to Sweden, and then as I'm coming in, I'm flying in like a comet, and then I'm coming through all the all the nature, and I'm flying like Superman basically. And I'm like, and then I see this little village, and then I see this like little house, and then I go inside there, and then I see this man with his wife, his kids, and then I go inside that man, and then I realized that was me as a Viking in that one lifetime. And then to many other lifetimes, in Egypt, in Greece, with the Mayas, with the Native Americans, as an African American, I was a slave, I was a soldier, you've been everything. I mean, a king, a pioneer. I mean, just literally many, many lifetimes. So, and then I came to then they told me that I still have 6 more lifetimes to finish the whole cycle. Because again, the way it worked, the way it was shown to me, like there was a beginning that went in, and then it went around a circle, and then towards the end, so like you start at the beginning and then you go around a circle. And the more as you go around the circle, you're evolving. So you go into life experiences, and then through lifetimes. Although they're happening at the same time, there is some kind of linear evolution, so that we can compare how we're evolving. So then it kind of goes around in a circle until it comes back to the very end, or you finish the cycle. And then I saw that I still had like 6 more lifetimes to complete the cycle, and which again, I could, if I wanted to later on, I can extend more lifetimes. But I saw that I had 6 more, and then at that point, 3 beings of light came, and they told me, we want to show you what it's like when you finish all the cycle of reincarnation, because that way you can tell the world And then just for yourself, like I was like, yeah, sure, like, that's great. So then I was shown what it's like to finish the cycle of reincarnation. And then as I was shown how I finished the cycle of reincarnation, I then became one with my higher self. And again, that's when you become an ascended master. You master the lessons. Again, what I was talking about, right? You master the lessons of unconditional love, of compassion, kindness, forgiveness, letting go, all these lessons that we're here to learn and evolve. And so an ascended master is just a master of the lessons. That's what I came to understand it. And then as I became an ascended master, or one with the council line, or and then I realized that at that point, I became one with the universe, one with the source. It was a very overwhelming, I mean, incredible experience. But at that point, these three beings of light, they came and congratulated me from my graduation of the cycle of recognition. But at that point, I realized that I felt like a little kid graduating from kindergarten compared to these beings, because they were like my parents and they were like really, really advanced beings. And here I am, graduating from as an ascended master, and I feel like I'm like a little kid that just graduated from kindergarten. And I'm like, oh my God, I thought I had it all figured out. And I thought I had just become an ascended master. I thought that was the end, and at that point I realized like, no, they were just like kind of laughing and kind of cuddling me and kind of like, it's okay, that it's you did great. And then they're like, okay, we'll show you what comes next. And then we walked out of that chamber. And then as soon as we walk out of that chamber, I realized that the chamber had been our universe or our school. And then I saw then like I was like, oh my God, that was the universe, like a little school, like a. And then I was like, okay. And then I just finished kindergarten. Okay, so where are we going next? And then I saw that there were three other schools or universes. And then in one of those universes or schools was the creator realm or school or universe or school. So in that school, then you start becoming a creator. You start creating life forms. You start creating planets. And there's different levels as well, right? Like there's different levels in the soul evolution of humans or this realm. Then there's different evolutions or levels in those realms too. So maybe you start creating small, animals or just, with humans and stuff like, and then you start creating, planets and then suns, solar systems, and then galaxies and then universes. So there's different levels. So that was one school. So you became the creator realm, which I thought that was like a pretty cool school, man. I'm like, I think I want to sign up for one of those classes for sure. Like a creator 101, And I'm like, yeah, I'll take one of those classes for you. Sign me in. And then after that, I was like, okay. And then there was another school, and this other school was like, and they all had like a little door, so I knew I could walk in, and that was the school. And then this other school was like the Akashic record keeper school. So then in that school, you learn about how, and again, I haven't really been into those schools, but I just knew that's how it works. And then in that school, that was like the Akashic record keeper of the multiverse, of the universe, and of the multiverse. So then you start understanding the fabric of how everything's stored across the universe, how all the souls are, all this information, and what I mean, you become an Akashic record keeper of the multiverse. So that was another school, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then there was another school. I only saw three schools, so three universes. And then in the last school universe was like more like you can start becoming like a humanoid or human, or but with really advanced abilities. And like so like for you can teleport, instant teleportation, telepathy, telekinesis, or just communicating across time, space, time traveling, just different abilities that are far that we can start having like a different communicating with different star systems, with different beings across the universe. So then I realized that you can reincarnate in a different planet with more advanced civilizations. So because right now there's other planets that have they already are really advanced beings and really advanced civilizations, but they're kind of like already graduated from these lower realms, right? So then you can go to those other planets, and then you can choose to have so you're not such a so the one is becoming a creator, one is being a Akashic keeper, one is still having a humanoid body but with really advanced abilities across the universe. And so that's what they came to show me that was the different schools. And then I was like, okay, I was like, yeah, I definitely want to go check out those schools once I'm done. So and then after that, I was like, okay. And then after that, they say, well, okay, we'll see you later. And I was like, okay. And then after that, I saw the library, the Akashic records. And once I went into so there was like a huge columns of light that went into infinity. And I just knew that all the information across the universe is stored from all the planets and all the galaxies and everything is stored there. It's like a web for the universe. And then then I saw the Akashic record keepers, like some beings that kind of like are in charge of that place. And then I just then they came over and they gave me a book. They grabbed a book and gave me a book. And then I opened the book, and that was the book of Earth. And then I came to see the future of Earth, that eventually, we'll reach that point of becoming the utopia that we'll kind of wish to get there one day. Eventually, we'll be there. Where all countries will come at peace. Like there will be no more wars. Like the systems are about to collapse really soon. So first, all the systems are going to collapse because anything that is not based on integrity or honesty, it can't exist in this. As we are sent into the fourth dimension as a collective, it cannot exist in that realm. So as we're entering the fourth dimension, we're entering the fourth dimension as a collective. So as we're entering the fourth dimension, all the systems that are not based on integrity are going to collapse, and then we're going to have to create new institutions and new programs that are going to be based on compassion and kindness, and that's where they're going to start creating unions like the American Union. Like eventually all America will become a union, kind of like the European Union, and then the African Union, the Asian Union, the Arabic unions. They're going to start creating unions, and then no more borders, no more poverty. All resources will be like, there'll be all this technology that will, we won't need any more natural resources, and then we'll be living in different planets, and so it'll be eventually we'll become to that peace that there will be no more religions. I mean, it'll be more like consciousness and oneness that we're going to be evolved into, and no more poverty, no more wars, and all this stuff, and then they show me that once we reach that point of utopia as a collective, it's not even the end. Kind of like when we finished the cycle of reincarnation, which I thought that was the end, but it's like, no, it's like just graduate from kindergarten. It's the same for the collective. Once we once we reach the utopia, or kind of like the cycle, it's the same thing for the collective. We're reaching, it's like reaching the utopia is like graduating from the cycle. And once we reach that point, like, then it's like, then that's when we're going to be interacting with different civilizations across the universe. It'll be more like a Star Trek kind of, we'll be teleporting, and we'll be communicating with different beings across the universe. And so even when we reach that utopia, it's not even the end. That's just the beginning of our next stage of evolution. So so that's what I saw there, and I was like, okay. So I was really happy to pick up that book. They gave me the book, and then I just gave it back to them. I was really happy to have seen the future of Earth, and so I would like to tell the world, like, don't worry, there is like this divine plan that eventually there will be peace, and so just focus on yourselves becoming the better person that you can be, because that's the way to change the world, right? Like if you work on yourself and you keep spreading kindness and helping and spreading your message, everybody has a message to share, whatever message whatever gifts they have, they can share that gift. And then just don't be stuck to the fears because of the wars, because of whatever's happening. Don't worry about that. That's all going to come to an end very soon, and eventually all that's going to be gone, and new leaders will be coming in. I see a lot of young women leaders coming in, and changing the world. Like, okay, enough of these old systems, and it's time to create a better world for peace and no more poverty and all this stuff. So I would just say, not worry, please don't worry. And everything's going on TV. Just know that it's going to come to an end, and just know that all of these things are just happening so people can reflect. You see what I'm saying? Like, do we really want to continue on this path of wars and all this stuff? Because no, we don't, right? So then eventually it all going to collapse, and eventually it's all going to lead to, of course, a better world. So so then after I saw the Akashic records, and then after that I saw, they told me, okay, there's different dimensions or realms, that all souls that we evolve, from different from like the way I was shown, just they're just different realms or dimensions that the soul gets to evolve. And the way I was shown to me was like there was like 11 dimensions that all souls evolve. And then I can explain more, but if you have any questions, please ask from there, because then I can explain if you want, or any other questions
Yeah,
we can just
I
go.
have a million questions, and that's why I was like, I'm looking at it, I'm trying to think quietly about how do I do this because I'm thinking it might have to be more than one video for sure, you
Yeah,
know.
oh yeah, of course, man. Let's do a
And then
couple of links.
and then also like I mean this is information because we're trying to build you up because right now we're trying to get you out there so you can help even more people. So people should probably go to your website, which we'll express in the end and I'll have in the description. But go to your website so that you can start doing maybe classes where you're just going into the in-depth detail of each one of these and the principles and just kind of helping them decode life, you know? So I think that's a good idea. But I'll just pull out just a few questions, otherwise we really will be too far behind. So it'll give me a chance. Uh oh gosh, so many questions. Okay.
Yeah,
So, but I'll start with the basic ones because I mean I literally, as you were talking, I don't know if you saw me like this, but I'm like adding more questions. So
okay, okay, okay.
all right, so the one of the most basic questions is what was your religious beliefs prior to the NDE and then have they changed since the NDE?
Yeah, I was born Catholic. I was born Catholic, but I never really I never really associated so much with their religion. I just, because I got to travel a lot in my life. So I lived and I lived in many countries. And I remember just sitting down with people from all paths, all religions. And, I saw the light in every single human being. It didn't matter where they were from. And they opened their hearts to me. And I was just like, with their family, was their grandparents, their kids. And I was just like, man, there's love everywhere I go. It doesn't matter. And so I never judge. And I never was like, oh, my religion is the right religion. It's never like that. I mean, I was Catholic, but I didn't really was like, oh, yeah, the Bible. I was never like that. I never really read the Bible. But, I just knew that being a good human being and a kind human being was really what it's all about, at the end. So I would just say that, so that was kind of like after my experiences, I just became more aware of all, and then you understand that, yeah, when people are like talking about different religions and different stuff, you understand that they all lead to the same path, or it's all about love. I mean, if you decode all of religions, one of the teachings was love. I was born Catholic, but yeah, it's after that it was just I just realized that it didn't really matter where you're from, and that it's all about consciousness and it's all about the soul evolution. And that was pretty much how I came to understand it.
So that's one of the basic questions. So you mentioned that you saw spirits your whole life. Can you give like an example of that, just so we can understand what that actually means or what you were seeing and you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, when I was like around 13, so 13, I saw my stepdad mom. She passed away, and her spirit came to visit and just to say goodbye, and that was the first spirit I saw. And again, the way I saw it is just like an aura, the aura of our bodies, like like the whole aura. And then it was there. We're huge. We're like 3 meters tall, something like the souls. And then I saw it coming towards me, and I was just like, "Wow!" I didn't know what it was. And then I told my mom the next day, and she's like, "Oh yeah, it must have been her because she came through her room." So my mom was kind of used to this too. And then after that, I saw my dad. He passed away already. He came to see me. My grandma, my grandpa, my nephew. I had a nephew. He came a lot to see me, and especially when I was having my awakening, he would come and see me a lot. So, so just family members. I was family members that would come. If they pass away, they would come and see and tell me that they love me. That yeah,
Oh,
that was my dad was told me he was really yeah, that he was proud of me, and that for helped a lot of people in my life. And so yeah, I mean, just I was used to that. Kind of like my whole, and my dad too. My dad could see spirits, and he would always tell the stories, and
that's
it was kind of normal.
that's what's amazing about it. So I mean, despite whatever religion you might have grown up, it sounds like you were in a family circle where this stuff was considered normal and they weren't looking at you like, what's wrong with them? It was like, oh
Right.
yeah, I saw her. She came through my room to get to yours. Like, you know, yeah, you're late. She came to me first.
I know my mom, she's been the greatest teacher, like she's like so amazing. And yeah, it was just
Yeah,
like, she always believed, like she always believed in aliens. So me too. My whole life I believed in aliens
perfect,
and
perfect.
all this stuff. So, and spirits was, yeah, that was normal, no big deal.
Yeah. And
So
so
yeah,
hopefully
that's
hopefully this is helpful to somebody who's lost someone who isn't from that type of background, is kind of freaking out, doesn't understand that they are still here, completely still here. Energy does not die. They are here with us, and the more open you are, the more the chances you'll be able to see them in some way, right?
right. Yes. And I'll share some with you, which I haven't really shared in any of the other podcasts. 'Cause my girlfriend told me that I should tell people about it too. I saw myself already in the afterlife, and then one of my friends, she was dying, so but I was already in the afterlife, and then I remember I was like in a classroom, in my classroom, like because there's classrooms up there too, like little class, and then I was in my classroom, and then all of a sudden I knew that she was passing away, but she was coming over in, and I remember looking. And then I just flew like a comet again. I'm flying from there's like the dimensions are like I don't know, some I don't know, like little levels. So I just remember flying towards where she was, her space. And then I saw all these other souls like flying from their dimensions or their levels, their schools. And we all went there we all got there to her space where she was laying her deathbed here on Earth. And I was on the other side already. And so we're coming for her to welcome her. And on the other side, it's like birth, like the birth. So it's like we were so excited, like to welcome her into the afterlife. Like all of us, her others, her sisters, or her mom, and all I can tell you is like the most remarkable, happiest day of my existence that I have experienced is that experience. It's being a spirit coming to greet your family members that are passing away. It was the most incredible experience. I would say probably was the most beautiful experience I've ever had. Besides having my life review, all those like were amazing, but this one where you're actually a spirit and you're coming to receive a soul, it goes beyond
Yes.
anything I've ever experienced in my life. And then we were all so excited, we were so happy. And then we all wanted to come and hug her or greet her, but then we knew like out of respect, the mom was gonna go first, like, okay, mom, you go first. So then as soon as and then we saw her leave her body, and then she came, and then her mom greeted her, and then we all came to hug her. And so yeah, it was pretty
Rafael,
amazing.
do you understand that this is next level? Because I have researched probably thousands of NDEs at this point, and you hear about the shared death experience. You hear about like the welcome committee, I guess, at the deathbed. But to be part of the welcome committee, like no one has ever
Yeah.
said that. So, and again, this is so important because it just shows you that from us, like the actual people sitting around her deathbed, they're sitting there mourning, freaking out, like in a whole nother space. And you're coming thinking, yeah, she's coming home. She's done. She finished the class. She's graduating, and you're excited. You guys are running over each other trying to say who's going to get her first, who's going to hug her first, with all that love. And, you know, and this is why people say, like, you've heard so many stories where they say they see their loved ones, or you've had people who have seen people who are passing just out of nowhere look up in the sky and say someone's name that had passed before, that a loved one. So they are seeing them come in, but they always talk about the love, and you were part of that love, for your friend. That is amazing.
Yeah, that was the most powerful, probably the most powerful experience, I would say. Probably where I felt the happiest, the most blissful, that was that being a spirit and coming to greet souls. Like it was incredible, and it really was so amazing. And then, I'll share another experience too, but it was a little different, but I also saw myself with a whole bunch of other souls. I don't know, hundreds or thousands, I don't know, in a circle. We were all in a circle, and we were all about to come down to earth, like all of us. And then I knew that they're going to be a part of my life. You were part of there too, because we're here now, right? So you must have been there too. I mean, yeah, everybody that you come into contact were there, and we were all in a circle, and we were all like so happy. Like again, another like blissful state of happiness that we were like yeah, man, we're coming down there. And we're like, I was just like, we'll see you guys down there, man. So, so I thought that was a really cool experience too. Like it was, we were about to come down and we were like, yeah, we were so happy that we're like, we'll see you down on earth. And like, we're, so that was another experience, our spirit, right? So we're like on the other side before coming down and just seeing that we're about to see each other in this lifetime. So,
Yes, yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that as well because it's like people we forget that we get stuck in the mud of this realm because it's definitely not high vibrational, but it's something that people have to remember, and that's why I love these kind of conversations so people just realize that it's okay that in our natural state we are like probably too happy, like and we compared to where we are now we'd be thinking like why are they so happy, like it's just pure joy, pure
hey, well,
joy.
hey,
And then I love all the references to school because, I'm of both parties. There's some days when it's just if things get really bad, I just think, oh my God, the archons, and we're stuck in this reincarnation trap and this and that, and I can go completely down that rabbit hole. But generally, I do feel like Earth is a school. I do feel like when I look at my life, I'm like, okay, I'm learning lessons here. I don't want to have to deal with this, but I'm learning something. It's clear that there are things that are repeating and patterns and stuff like that. And then you have, all the truth that comes out of like sci-fi and fantasy. So, you just think about Harry Potter and like everything once they get over into the world of wizardry or whatever is about schooling. It's about schools, schools, schools. Um, and I think the other question that I had from what you said so far was you say that each one of the councils, you said this twice. I want to make sure it's not like a group semantic, just want to make sure that I'm understanding this best. But you say each one of the councils represents one of the lessons we need to learn. Are you meaning the council members, like the individual council members, or there's other councils?
no, yeah, each one of those members, like,
Oh, okay,
yeah, each one
okay,
of those beings, yeah.
okay.
So
And so there
each
were
one of
12
them.
of them? It was 12 of them,
I
or
saw 12, but people will see different numbers. If you've done a lot of research, I'm sure you're like seeing like I saw 10, I saw 6, I saw 3. I think it just for me it's more like maybe if people see 3, maybe because 3 lessons that I really need to focus on. You see what I'm saying? If they say 6, maybe it's like certain lessons that people need to focus on. For me, it was just maybe as I told you, because for me it's more like okay, it's the overall all the lessons. You're like, I mean, I haven't mastered them, but like at the end is like that's where eventually that's kind of like the ultimate goal is to sort of uh learn and master the lessons, and then you become one with the council. Then because later on as I started having my awakening, I went back to that space, and then I met the council again. I
Mhm.
met the council again. But it's funny, even before that, they came here to my into my house. Like I was like, it was a crazy. It was really like I was in my room asleep, and then all of a sudden I felt like someone was watching me, and it was a woman, and her she was outside my room, but I could see through the wall. I could see through her, and then she was like floating, and she was like smiling, and then she was just like, she wanted to like come over and hug me, and I was just like, whoa. And I got a little scared because I didn't know who she was. At that point, I didn't really know who she was, but I think later I came to realize, okay, I think they were just the council of light. And then later on, and then I remember kind of like I ran out of the room and I was kind of like scared at one time, and then I saw like a whole bunch, like 11 more, like they're all in the other room, and I was like, damn, man, I have a whole battalion of angels here, man. But then later on, I came to realize, oh, that was just the council. So then later on, I went back to see them. And
Mhm.
then they were like, "Yeah, you're doing great, and don't worry. I mean, keep on working on the lessons." And but then also I came to the point where I was like, they kind of like they were like sitting down in some chairs, some kind of like some kind of I don't know little thrones, like this, they're kind of like
Mhm.
they're just chilling there. And I was
Mhm.
like, and then they were like, you've earned your seat among us, you're like you're
Okay.
earning a seat. So then I was like, and so then I sit down in one of my little chairs, and I was like, okay, this. I mean, I think I just came to realize that at the end, the council really is us, everybody.
Mhm.
That eventually, as you kind of like master the lessons, you keep on learning, then
But
you kind of like become one with the council.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned this, and I probably want to separate the experiences that you have after the NDE because again, you have so much happening. There's so much. Like as a you might think you're a baby in comparison to them, but ultimately, like compared to most of us walking around here, like this is a lot. And I just want to mention because a lot of people, especially as they go and they start getting into the spiritual journey or awakening, everybody's like kind of looking like you start getting spiritual envy. They're looking like, dang, like he got to see a whole council, like you know, but they don't
I
understand that.
know.
And especially now, since we're not there yet, we haven't really, we're not there. We're supposed to be fourth dimension, fifth, et cetera, whatever, as a whole. That the people, it could only a few people can handle this and not completely lose their mind. Like it's a lot for the human body to deal with. I've seen NDEs where people say they literally said beings were telling them that the human body cannot handle reality, like real reality. It will short circuit. You know, so it's something
Yeah,
where you have to just do it in pieces.
little by
Um,
little, little by little.
little by
That's
little.
yeah.
And it's
Oh
not for
yeah.
everyone. It's not for everyone. Do not try to jump from kindergarten to college, or you're gonna have some issues. You're gonna realize you're
Yeah,
not
it'll
ready.
be overwhelmed. Yeah, you're so well. It's too much. It's too much.
Yeah,
'Cause,
yeah.
yeah, for me, I mean, I'm telling you everything I'm telling you, I'm explaining it like really easy and simple,
Yeah,
but
I know.
the actual experiences, they're
Look, I
really
know.
intense.
I
They're really
I
intense.
told I
They're
told
really
you
intense.
my little
Yeah.
tiny experience, and that I had never told anybody. And I'll say it here. I don't really, I'm starting to become more open about it. But like, where energy, an extremely powerful energy, came into a room that I was in at the time, and kind of telepathically was like, you are mine. And I'm like looking around, like, who? What? Like, what is this? What's happening right now? But when it happens, you feel it, and you know it's not normal, and you know you're not like you don't who's going to make up something like that. It really was just random, and I know what happened. But the feeling, people don't understand, energy is real, vibration, all that stuff, frequency, it overwhelmed the room. So whatever we're dealing with is very much more advanced than these human bodies, at the very least. Not maybe more advanced than us, but more advanced than the human body for sure. Leaps and
Yeah.
bounds. um all right, so here's another question that I had from what you said already. When you said that you were able to, so we have the different lives that are like circles or bubbles around, right? When you only were able to experience each one of these alternate lives, we'll call it, right? Because we know that time doesn't exist. So one of these alternate lives, when you joined in or became one with your higher self. So only your higher self has the ability to go into each one of these lives, right? So if
Right.
that's the case, is it possible that one of these other personalities, is what we'll call them, the lives, could do the same thing, have an experience where they are able to connect with the higher self and then maybe see your life and jump into your
Yeah,
experience?
of course. Yeah, of course.
Okay, because
Um,
I've actually heard that before. I've heard that
yeah,
someone
yeah,
say
yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. Wow,
It's the
okay.
same person, so it's like,
Yeah. And so in seeing, here's another question that I had. So and I'm again should be wearing glasses, I'm not, but the six lives that you have, the six additional, right? Firstly, are they all Earth? So this is all Earthbound lives that we're talking about? Okay. Yes?
I think so. I mean, they didn't show me. I've only seen one future lifetime. Um,
Okay, so you're answering my second question. So you didn't see them in the midst. You only were able to see one.
I've only seen one. Mhm.
Okay,
I
okay,
only
okay.
saw one. Yeah, when
Okay.
I used to live in England, in Cambridge, and then I went to London, and then I was out as I was taking the underground in London. It was a nighttime, and London, there's a lot of people, but this time for some crazy reason there was like nobody in the underground. So I'm taking the underground and I'm going down the electrical escalators, and then all of a sudden I see like the Matrix. Well, so all of a sudden, like I see like into the future, or I quantum jump or time travel into the future, and then all of a sudden I see the future, and then it's like just all of a sudden like I see like holograms. So I'm in the future, but it's like all of a sudden the Matrix kind of dissolves, or I'm entering like a portal, and in this portal I'm able to see the future, and then I'm in the underground in the future of London, and then I see that there's like holograms, and in these holograms they're like, get your apartment in Mars, move, go to University of Mars, or just like get your condo at the moon, or different planets. There we're gonna be a whole bunch of all the I don't know if all the planets, but like we'll be living in different planets, and then all of a sudden I'm like, whoa! So I see all these holograms about kind of like information about like, go to different planets. And then all of a sudden, this man out of nowhere, he appears in the hologram, and then he's on the other side of the escalator. So I'm going down the escalators. So I'm seeing all of this right down as I'm going down in the metro. And then all of a sudden, this man appears out of nowhere again. And then he's going up the escalator. So I'm going down and he's going up. And then he's got some kind of little hoodie, kind of like a Jedi. And then all of a sudden, I go inside him, and then I realize that that's me in my future lifetime. That I'm living in London. And then I took the hoodie off, and then I saw Raphael. So it's exactly what you just said, So I saw Raphael, and I'm like, and then I knew that was me in my other lifetime, and then I just smile and laugh. And then I went back into my body, Raphael, and then I'm like, oh my God, that's me in my future lifetime. And then he just kind of smiled, and then it all disappeared like that. And I was just like, oh my God, dude, I just went into the future I saw one of my other lifetimes, one of my future lifetimes. So yeah, they're all happening right now.
So he looked totally different.
Yeah, I was like a white guy, like, so yeah, like I was English and and then yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, I was like, wow, that's me in a future lifetime. So
so do you feel like he did that, where he went into the higher self and then he was coming to check out your life, and maybe and you were able to see him as well because you're open?
I think so. It was my higher self connecting us both, right? So my higher self kind of wanted me to share it with you, with the world, this for now, right? And I mean, so yeah, that was a pretty magical experience, because I was like, wow, dude, I just connected to one of my, because some of the others was different. Some of the other ones I just traveled there. But for me in business to see it completely and go to the other body and come back, that was the only time this happened like that.
And this is why I try to express to people, I'm like, you want to be a spiritual Jedi and be all advanced and stuff, because it just now is becoming kind of cool-ish slightly, in some circles.
Yeah.
But it's like, can you deal with that? Can you just be going down the subway and have that experience and not be like, oh, like just kind of just go, okay, whatever, all right, that's normal. Keep going with it.
I mean, that's why I even tell people, like, sometimes I'm like, because I want to have the experience. I'm like, okay, just so you know, you gotta be ready, because especially let's say, because I remember seeing one of my lifetimes that I travel out of my body, and then I went into that, and that was like I was a slave, an African American slave, and then I was in chains, and I was being whipped, and so I mean, I was just like, I remember like as I came to that lifetime, I was outside, and then I saw we're all like in a dungeon or somewhere. And then I went inside that guy, and then I'm inside, and I'm like, I was just like, oh my God, like, so the thing is, like, that's what you just say, like, imagine people start having access to lifetimes where they're under so much, suffering, so at the end is you have to, later on, I mean, I didn't get attached. I realized, okay, that was that one lifetime in that particular life, but I'm not attached to that, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm already out where I'm at right now. And then at the end, I realized that it was all to evolve. It was all to evolve. So the way I've come to understand it too is like maybe in another lifetime, because I've seen, like, I've been a warrior too, Viking, Roman legionnaire. I mean, you've been kind of everything, So so which cause pain to a lot of people too, right? So then what happens? So you see what I'm saying? So maybe in some lifetimes you're the one causing pain onto other people. So then it comes back to you. Then you're gonna be a slave. Then you're gonna be whatever it is, you're gonna go through those. So then at the end, it keeps coming back to you until you learn that you cannot treat anyone. You cannot cause pain towards anybody, because you have already gone through all that pain. And so then that's where you kind of like you can't. I can never would do anything. I could never kill somebody, or I could never do any harm to anybody. I could never cheat on anybody. I could never try to I don't know, not be honest with anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Now, listen to what you're saying. You're saying I could never. And they always say never say never. But you're saying I can never because you did, right?
Exactly, because I already have done it. So it came back to me so many times.
Yes.
And you're like, it's like, like your soul knows, just. And then that's why people that
it becomes exhausted. It's like I've done this. I've been through this before. And you finally get to a point where you're like, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I'm sick and tired.
It's imprinted in your soul. It's imprinted in your soul, in your soul, soul blueprint. Yeah. So then it's just, because you have gone through all the experiences. So I would just say too, like if people are, are want to start seeing their other lifetimes, just for them to not be attached, to realize that this is all a simulation. That was the other thing too. I came to realize once I was in the life review, I realized that all along that was the real world, and this had all been a simulation, a dream. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's what ultimately we need to get to that point to realize that it's all a simulation, it's all a dream. So if people do start seeing some of those lifetimes, just realize it's okay. It was all a simulation. It's part of your evolution. Don't be attached. That's why I realized that letting go and not having attachment, it's kind of like the ultimate kind of goal. Is like, so that it's like on the one side of the coin is the unconditional love, and on the other side is the non-attachment. Because if you have attachment, that's where the suffering is. So like if I went into that one lifetime and I see all the suffering, because then I would go down, right? But I just realized, okay, I'm not attached to it. That was just that lifetime, and I was learning, the lessons to be that I don't want to cause pain on anybody, right? I would never. It's been already done to me. So that's what I would say. So yeah, any more
So
questions?
yeah, so I was looking because I know that I have a question connected to this. That's why I was looking over here. Um, so there's some people, of course, and maybe it's because they've lived a certain life this time around, who are terrified of the idea of karma. Like they don't like to, as soon as they hear karma, they'll probably just stop watching the video. They don't even want to think that it exists. And there's people who are going around and toting the idea that it doesn't exist. Like, oh no, that's nothing. Like they really kind of go into the idea of it being a simulation, that we're playing roles and that karma doesn't exist. But I've noticed that a lot of things in reality are a paradox. It's like, yes, karma doesn't exist, but it does in some ways, as in like you've done something in one role maybe, and because we at our higher self is not us, our higher self is much more wise, it realizes, no, this has to be balanced out. So whereas you probably be like, no, I don't have to repent for that. Oh, it's okay. It's all right. Oh, that's all right. Your higher self is like, okay, get into this life. You gotta fix this up. You gotta balance this up. But so a question I had about that is, on one hand, you do say that we're playing roles to some extent. Like a lot of things that you're saying are a lot of people who have said in certain ways. So it's confirming it, which is good. That we're playing roles that you might like when our group, when we came in and we were floating above the earth saying, oh, we're going in, we're going to do this. We're saying, okay, well, you have to do this. You're going to play this role. This is not, to some extent, I believe that's what you're saying. But if we're playing roles, why, how does karma come into the play? It's kind of like saying, okay, we're going to put together this play. You're going to play the good guy. You're going to play the bad guy. And then at the end of it, even though he played the role of the bad guy very well, applause, applause, applause. Now you have to pay for that. And it's kind of like, okay, how does that make sense? Like, how can you explain that?
Yeah, at
Or
the end, it kind of has to come to a balance. You see what I'm saying? So where both souls learn from each other. Maybe one lifetime, right? That's what I'm saying. One lifetime, I caused pain. Like that was a Roman legionnaire. And then in this other lifetime, because I was this American causing pain on me, right? It's an African American or whatever. So then it's like that's so then at the end it's like, okay, in that other lifetime I did the act, the unkind act, and then in this lifetime it was done unto me, and then it kind of like just balances off for me, and maybe that person that I mean, it can be either way. The person that caused the pain up to me in that one particular lifetime, it could just be balancing from this other lifetime that I did it to him, or whatever. And
yeah.
then that soul will also know, or it'll be done to that person in the next lifetime. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But eventually it'll balance off. It'll balance off so that everybody at one point or another will learn that they cannot cause any harm anymore because that will come to them too. Like even the person that's doing the act of unkindness or whatever it is,
Okay.
eventually
So
it'll come back to them.
so is it for us to understand that when we're making these soul contracts, so that's something a lot of people talk about as well. So before you're coming in, you're writing the soul contract or putting together who and what you'll be. For those people, is it and this is going to be like very controversial, but for those
Yeah,
people who decide to be that really, really bad guy or girl or whatever, is it that that soul is kind of being, and I mean, it could be a lot of different scenarios, but ultimately they're putting a lot on their plate because they know eventually that they're going to have to balance out all the bad that they did in that life because they took that role?
yeah, exactly. And for both
Wow.
souls, you see what I'm saying? So for both souls. And then
Wow.
yeah, but at the end it'll balance off at the end, at the end.
Okay.
Maybe it was like, and it could be either way, but at the end it's like for both souls, they'll eventually will come to the point where, but they both have to evolve, right? So they if that person did the harm to the other one, and then it'll come back the other way. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of intertwined. It's all intertwined and throughout time
Yeah.
and space. So I mean, it could have been that that person did the harm, 20 lifetimes ago, 50 it's just kind of intertwining itself. And then
Yeah.
at the end, don't worry about all maybe the future life, it's future time. Time it doesn't even exist. So past and
Yeah.
future is
Yeah.
like it's all like intertwined.
Yeah. And I
So
mean,
I would just say at the end, try to maybe in more simple terms. It's not about judging anybody. It's not about It's just focus on yourself. Like because just like the other person will, that person will have whatever is happening to it will happen to so that it can evolve too, right? So that person, you or that person, all people will
yeah.
eventually go through that balance so that they know that they cannot cause any harm because they
Yeah.
already gone through it themselves, right? And everybody just so have you. So then at the end,
And I,
just
and I
yeah,
think I think it takes a lot of trust. Like, for the people who can't really wrap their heads around this, I think it's because it's like you have to trust something outside of yourself. You have to trust in this divine source, creator of it all, the architect of everything, that there's some divine plan. Like it really is the puzzle pieces coming together perfectly. Like there's no imperfection, there's no imbalance anywhere.
exactly.
Um, and for a lot of people, it's like for one, they get scared about maybe paying for their own sins, but then if somebody hurts them, they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna get yours. Like so if we all can just say we're all gonna get ours, and it is
Yeah,
what it is.
I would say don't worry about
No
other
worries.
people. Just focus on yourself.
Yeah, and trying to get better. And so that
Yeah,
that
just
leads,
focus on yourself.
and
And
that
focus on forgiveness. You see what I'm
yeah,
saying? Focus on
yes,
letting
and that
go
too. Yes,
because
that
that
too,
was the
so
lesson that
important.
came to teach you, right?
Yeah,
So I would just say that ultimately, like I say, when I saw the council, even the council of light that came, that was forgiveness. It wasn't being light,
yeah,
So because the forgiveness is for you, not for the other person, so that you
yeah,
can find that peace of mind, right? The letting go is for you, so you can
yeah,
let go. You see what I'm saying? So it's hardships, but at the end they're the lessons. So it's like, so at the end it's just for you. So focus on you, no matter what. Don't it's focus on letting. That's what I'm saying. The most difficult lessons will definitely be letting go and forgiveness, and not judgment as well, because uh, don't be like, oh no, like don't worry about other people. Like just focus on you and
yeah,
focus
yeah.
on evolving, focus on letting
And
go. Focus.
I think an understanding of reincarnation is what's going to help people. And that's why it's so important, like people like you who have had these experiences, share it, because what keeps us, for people who really can't get outside of these, like the most basic human, emotions, is because they think this is a one time only, this is my only chance. And
Right.
sometimes even believe that not only is it a one time only, but there's nothing after this. So it's like they're putting all their ducks in a row. As opposed to
Like that doesn't
understanding
make any
that
sense,
this is
right?
this is an eternal thing. Like we have nothing but time, and time doesn't exist. Like it's an infinite. Um,
Right.
so two questions that I had came out of this, and hopefully I remember the second one. But the first one is, how did the Council of Light look to you? Because there's people who have said they've seen a Council of 12 and that it was all men, and that was interesting. I've heard two of those. So I'm just curious if they had gender. You're saying beings of light, so I'm assuming they look just like light. But if you can just give a little more detail so we know who it was.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I saw them, I didn't see them as men or women. They're just beings, light beings. So they had no gender. It was just light. And then, but the time that they came to my house, there was a woman and man. So I don't know. They just came in, So at the end, I think it's just if it's a woman, maybe it's the love, right? The motherly love. Maybe it'll show itself in that it's a woman. But at the end, what you get to the point where you have to even transcend, like it's black and white or dark and light and woman and man is like you even transcend that. At the end that's just part of the 3D experience because then
Mm,
you start, you become a creator. You're creating, it's this energy of creation you come different realms. So I mean, I would just say like they're both. I mean, I saw them as both later on, as men and women,
Okay.
It's just different traits. I think the love is probably more the motherly than woman.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
yeah, but I saw them mostly as light at first, which is they just kind of transcend.
Yeah. And I want to make sure I happen to glance over here, and this is from our previous interview, well, pre-interview, but I want you to I'm going to quote you where you said negative is the teacher, and I want you to just quickly explain to them what that means in regards to having all these different lives, that negative is the teacher.
Yeah. So I came to you know, when I told you that I sort of felt like I was graduating from kindergarten, the cycle of yeah, I sort of came to like this being of light came and that was like the being of kind of like the negative or the evil, which is not even evil. It's just this contrast, you know, good and bad. And then that being, it was a being of light that came, and he just said, you know, I know it's been a difficult journey, but you know, congratulations, you did amazing. You know, you came to the real self-realization that it's all light. You know, that I am light. I was just here to teach you all along. You know, through the hardships, through the difficult times. It was just so that you could grow and evolve and have give you challenges in life, you know, so that you could appreciate. And then I also came to understand too, like it was like you know, at that point too, I realized like when the creator created our universe, because there's many universes, it came to create. It kind of created like two energies, you know, the light and darkness. And but it was just the yin and the yang, right? And then it just kind of like it decided because maybe before that it was just light. There was like no darkness and no, but it kind of got bored after a little while. So I was like, you know what? Let me create a system where I'm gonna let it evolve and grow in stages, and I'm gonna give it challenges. And you know, like it's like going on a treasure hunt or some or like you know, you're gonna try to get somewhere, and it's like there's little challenges, and but at the end is the reward, right? So that when you get to that point of mastery of self-realization, you know, through all these hoops and challenges and ups and downs, and you know, so once you get there, you're like you appreciate, you know, we appreciate our evolution. So and that's all along I understood that's why it was created, this whole matrix, this whole
Hmm.
thing of duality, and it's all along was to teach us. So I came to understand that it was like a teacher saying like, you know, it was you did great, you know, like I knew it was challenging for you, for you know, for everybody, but at the end it really is for your own evolution. And then I came to a theme as a being of light, you know. So I thought that was really powerful.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll give you a chance to drink some water or something if you need it,
I
but
know. I think,
yeah. But I love that idea because it's like again, a lot of us get bogged down, especially if this particular life is extra hard or difficult. Like you just it's like you start to think, okay, who's really running this show? Like what is happening? And I told my mother once, and she was looking at me like she just really couldn't understand what I was saying, but I was like, Mom, God is the devil. Like I know that sounds crazy, but it's like if God is everything, if source is everything, it is everything. You can't limit its power. It is everything,
yeah,
and so you have to understand that it's just wearing different hats in order to or playing different roles to have a certain effect. Like it has, and this is where I kind of there's someone at your door, I think.
I was just
Okay, Raphael. Oh,
sorry, I
you
was like,
you went deep. Like I kept looking. I was like, either he's counting really slow or he is in another
oh, I thought
world
you were
right now.
supposed to tell me when.
No, no. I even thought you were frozen at him. I was like, wait, what should I do right now? Oh, we're awesome. We're awesome. Okay.